الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ولا تجد له وليا مرشدا. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي ساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فقد غوى. نسأل الله ربنا أن يجعلنا ممن يطيعه ويطيع رسوله ويتبع رضوانه ويجتنب سخطه، فإنما نحن به وله. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله، قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We come from Allah, or we belong to Allah. We come from Allah, and to Him we return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our starting point and our final destination. Physicists say, as I said last week, that physical light behaves in some respects like particles moving from one place to another, and in other respects like a wave. These apparently contradictory descriptions have not stopped scientists from harnessing radiation in useful ways, such as light bulbs, radio signals, and X-rays, all of which belong to man's technical knowledge, whose benefits we enjoy and whose dangers we are subject to. A poet might describe a mountain as the top of the world, or even the peak of his own aspiration, whereas a geographer would speak of the mountain in terms of elevation above sea level, geological formations, glacial erosion, soil types. Both are correct descriptions of the same phenomenon, which is the mountain, but they are looking through different eyes. I would like to speak about the modes in which we describe the unseen worlds, whose layers of existence we cannot see with the physical eye, such as our feelings, our psychological state, the unseen processes of creation, the ways we affect one another, but most importantly, the realms of belief. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Quran as the book that is for those who الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who have iman, who believe in the unseen, things you cannot see. And in the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, we are taught that iman is belief in Allah, His messengers, His books, the angels, the last day, the decree, the good and the bad of it. That is the landscape of iman. And yet we find ourselves surrounded by people who do not know about these things. And they hold totally different positions about the operating principles of the universe, including the way in which they themselves work and what will happen to them after they die, which can range from going to the worms all the way to perpetual reincarnation. The discussion of this matter is widely acknowledged as the ultimate subject, the ultimate question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ. About what are they asking each other? about the momentous news, the thing about which they differ, which is what happens to us after we die and the whole affair of the unseen. The Muslims are the ones who have accepted the unadulterated divine statement on this matter and given the words of Allah precedence over whatever they themselves or others may at various times see, think or feel. They do this because of their iman, a clarity of heart, which, once tasted, overrides, but does not contradict, other faculties, such as the mind, the emotions, rational conjecture, opinion, and the physical faculties. All of these faculties are revealed to the clear heart as different modes in which we operate and talk about the created world. But they are, the faculties, not fit for the purpose of contemplating the unseen, let alone penetrating our ultimate destiny. The faculty of the mind is used to harness benefit from situations, things and people, to negotiate the various circumstances of day-to-day living and to plan human affairs. The emotions come into play especially in our interactions with one another, in our experience of life, like the weather in flux over every landscape, responding to things and events as affirming and negating voices. Our rational faculty is used to choose within the realm of conjecture and arrive at rational proofs or disproofs. And our physical faculties are our bodies operating in the tangible realm. None of these is separate from the others, nor are they located in different places or areas to the exclusion of the others. They are different modes of the same phenomenon, man. And each mode has its language. The mode of the physical faculties is that we walk, talk, we see, we eat, we lift, we speak, and we are creatures. It is the mode in which conventional Western medicine operates. To invade the realm of meaning in this mode would produce the idea that once the human organism is dead, there is nothing else. The mode of the rational is that we use our minds to contemplate cause and effect. You are wrong because of such and such. This is like this because of this. The mind is also the mode of contemplating physical and conceptual affairs, such as patterns of how people organize themselves politically. If the mind invades the realm of purpose, it produces statements such as, I think, therefore I am, which is like saying that thought is the summit of our existence. The emotional mode is what we feel about it all. Repelled, overjoyed, indifferent. We crave, we are shocked, we are even-keeled, we are refreshed. But applied to life in the absolute sense, in the emotional mode we might say, I can't bear to live, or I live life the way I want. These are statements based on feeling. The emotions, if unguided, can also drive us to believe in whatever eternal scenario best fits our hopes and desires, rather than what actually is going on. These modes, of which this is merely a brief sketch, collectively make up the human, and they are indivisible. When we think, it will always produce some shade of emotion. It will exist within a rational inframing and produce a physical response in the body. All this happens as one great intricate process, which is man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He The way in which he controls this intricate process is called rububiyyah, lordship. He is Rabb al-Alameen, the Lord of all of those worlds. Belief, however, is different in that all the other modes proceed from the heart, which is the seat of belief, and cannot examine. They cannot themselves examine the heart, because belief is not of them. Belief has its own language and its own terms, and is beyond the remit of the mind, the physical body, and the emotions. And when it is analysed by faculties which cannot reach it, it is as if it were not there at all. When the heart is rusty, the other faculties dominate. And they cannot encompass belief, so they reject it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا قَالَ أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. When our signs are recited to him, the person of this description, he says, just myths and legends of the previous people. كَلَّا بَرْوَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. No, indeed, rather, what they have earned has rusted up their hearts. The Muslim knows that the landscape of belief consists of belief in Allah, His messengers, His books, the angels, the last day, and the decree. This landscape of seen and unseen realities is the landscape of the heart. They have a physical aspect, such as the humanness of the messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the vessel of divine realities that make him messenger and not just man. And then the Mus'haf, the copy of Quran, the book, the physical book, and also the words when we recite them are the vehicles for the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they are the book, neither the book nor our words are the words, which are uncreated and eternal. The landscape of Iman is something we can think about with our minds, but the mind is singularly unable to either prove or disprove its existence. And the emotions may play across the landscape of Iman, like the weather patterns, and we may feel any number of ways about it. One person might shrink from the mention of angels, another person might feel relieved and settled to hear about them, another excited, another scared, another skeptical. But recognition with the heart is not of the emotions. Sometimes we encounter other languages that speak of the unseen world and of matters that are the precinct of belief. For instance, the science of physics, again, speaks of atomic and subatomic particles and sees the universe as made up of them and governed by the laws by which they interact. Careful physicists, while advocating the usefulness of their trade, will not exclude the possibility of other principles that might be in operation, or that the laws agreed on may ultimately prove inaccurate or inappropriate, as the history of physics easily proves. The now dominant Western medical science considers the body in a similar way, as a physical entity, admitting only relatively recently that it is somehow interlinked with the mental and emotional faculties, but generally rejecting any notion that what the person believes actually affects the workings of the body. The science of psychology looks at the mental, emotional, and behavioral workings of the human being and has its language of well-being, depression, mental health, psychoses, issues, historical baggage and neuroses. Then there are modes in which people see themselves in the world which are almost akin to religions, such as yoga and Tai Chi, which, in the forms they have come to us here today, I'm not talking about the forms they may have originally had, but in the way that they are in our society now, may or may not entail beliefs relating to meaning or purpose, but certainly bring descriptions of the unseen. Would we be able to move forward a little, please? There's no room at the back. For example, there is the ancient Chinese word qi, which refers to a life force which is said to exist in everything and not be absent in anything. This qi is sometimes intimately tied up with a way or ways of looking at the whole of existence, and even gives rise to ways of life. And sometimes it is taken more or less on its own, as something which is there, or a useful description, but no more than that. The question of whether qi exists or not, or whether subatomic particles exist, or whether childhood issues exist, or are just a construct of man, is not the question here. The useful question is, are we using the right set of eyes for what we are concerned with in any given moment? If we are fixing our car, it can certainly serve us to understand the mechanics, the physics. If we have an illness, it can certainly be wise to understand the body. If we have childhood issues, it can serve us to resolve them. If we want to work out an organizational matter, it helps to gather strong minds and intellects. But these sciences cannot be consulted on matters of belief, because unless they and their advocates are subjugated to certainty in the unseen, they will fail to see matters which we have been told about by Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Conversely, this knowledge given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can be universally applied even to the most worldly matters with the correct idhn and wisdom. If a jinn has possessed a person, then a jinn has possessed a person. That is not to say that the person is not suffering psychological symptoms or even psychotic episodes, and that there is no chemical psychotic process at work, because there is. When we say angels accompany us, when we travel in the way of Allah, it is because angels are accompanying us. The ease and blessings of that journey could be explained in other ways, and there is nothing wrong with that per se. And it may even be more appropriate if you are talking to people who are likely to associate angels with wrong constructs from their past conditioning. And when we say that Allah provides for us, this does not negate the agency of the means, if we are talking in the mode of means. I did a job, I got paid, they gave me the money. They did give me the money. That all happened. These are the different worlds of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Rabb al-Alameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسول ربنا بالحق أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. The one we submit to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the Lord of the worlds, the Lord of all those worlds, Rabbul Alameen. He is the governor and sustainer of these modes, and all the worlds emanate from and are totally governed by and known by Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the exclusion of any doubt, deficiency, deficit or partiality. He is, and the worlds only are inasmuch as they are permitted by Him. He who is the one to whom they will return. Being Muslim is not incompatible with any of those modes of understanding. How could it be? If, and provided that, those worlds are seen as under His power and authority. The one we prostrate to 5 times a day is the one who orders the particles according to certain laws. It is not the laws that are the cause, it is the one who orders them. The one we fast for is the one who causes the body to function along particular lines and respond to particular things we might do to it. And the one we do wudu for and say the salam for is the one who has given us the faculties of feeling and created us to behave in certain ways, and the one who has given us intellect and made things function along rational and irrational lines. The one we live and we die for is the one who is living and present and never absent, and who puts into any of His creation any energies or absence of energies that He wills. How then could we reject physics, medicine, psychology, or the existence of chi, or anything else, provided we are talking about worlds which we know belong to Allah, may He be exalted. But if it is not completely subject to Allah, or if it begins to assume a divine authority, then we reject it. And if there is any doubt about it, then the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us to leave things that have doubt in them. We reject any knowledge which tries to rise above its station. Physics cannot claim to explain everything that can exist. If it aspires to be a total or absolute knowledge, then it is instantly dead, because it has moved into territory where it has no permission. Technology can go very far in facilitating things for us to use, but it cannot trespass upon what makes us human. Artificial intelligence is useful and also dangerous. It is not dangerous because computers might acquire consciousness and oust mankind. It is dangerous because men might believe that it can do that, thus seeing themselves as mere units of ultra-sophisticated physics and biology, whose behavior, feelings, and even beliefs are mere products of physical processes, soon to be mimicked and bettered by our own machines. Those who have embraced science and its language as an absolute and believe humanity is destined to evolve until it knows everything, and that computers can be developed to be our equals or better. Yes, we will know everything, but not in the way they think. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ. No, indeed, they will soon know. Again, no, indeed, they soon will know. Then in the same surah, He subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the whole situation we are in with wisdom, first in its outward and then in its meaning. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلِ الْأَرْضَ مِهَادًا. Have we not made the earth a flat carpet? وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا. And the mountains its pegs. وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. We have created you in pairs. وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. We made your sleep a break. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. And we made the night a cloak. It covers everything. وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. We made the day for earning a living. That's what it's for. The night is not for that. وَبَنَيْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعًا شِدَادًا. We built 7 firm layers above you. وَجَعَلْنَا سِرَاجًا وَهَاجًا. That's the heavens. And we installed a blazing lamp, the sun, all put in place. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. We sent down cascading waters from the clouds. لِنُخْرِجَ بِهِ حَبًّا وَنَبَاتًا وَجَنَّاتٍ أَلْفَافًا. So that by it we might bring forth grains and plants and luxuriant gardens. This is the description. This is what's going on. إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا. The day of decision, يوم الفصل, is a fixed appointment. يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي السُّورِ فَتَاتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. The day the trumpet is blown and you come in droves. وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا. The heaven is opened and becomes doorways. وَسُرِلَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. And the mountains are shifted and become a mirage. And then he says, of the last day, further in the same surah, may he be exalted. يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ وَقَالَ صَوَابًا. On the day when the Spirit and the angels stand in ranks, no one will speak except for him who is authorized by the All-Merciful. ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. That will be the true day. That is the true day. In other words, these days we are in are metaphors, rehearsals, images of the timeless reality projected onto the canvas of time and space. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. So whoever wills should take the way back to his Lord. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين عدد ما في علم الله صلاة دائمة بدوام الملك الله. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. واخذل الكفر والكافرين. وانصر المجاهدين في سبيل الله. واجعل كلمتك هي العليا وكلمة الكفر هي السفلى. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. يا عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.